it's funny because like I still to this day I still wouldn't know how to answer that. Like I could say, oh, I'm a dancer, or I'm a designer, or I'm a creative, or I'm just a regular guy. If you ask me on ten different occasions, you'll get 10 different answers, and that's what I kind of like. That's kind of like why. I mean, I know this is gonna sound cheesy and stereotypical, but like, why would anybody want to like label themselves as like one thing? You know, it's like that episode of Fairly Odd Parents where everybody's just like a plain blob, and you know what I mean? Like I don't know. So I mean, I'll okay. If like gun to my head, had to say it, creative for sure. Yeah. So I guess when I was little, like I was into drawing and stuff, and I was into just making stuff from scratch. Like I was into like Mega Blocks and Legos and anything that had to do with like making anything. You remember those Bionicles? I had one of those, and I would like change the color of like with different versions and stuff. But a lot of it was just drawing and sketching and just making stuff from scratch, or whether it be taking like a cartoon that I saw on TV and like making it like it's gonna sound bad, but making it like demonic by putting like horns or some. I'm not a satanist or nothing, but it just I thought it was cool at the time. So nah, nah. But yeah, I would just do stuff like that as a kid, and then I stopped one day, and then I just how growing up where we come from just got into certain things I shouldn't be a part of, and then I kind of sidelined that. But then like moved to Waterbury, and then like I wouldn't say I found dance. I would say that I was thrown into dance, and then met one person after another, met these group of people, and then now I'm just a dancer. And then with dance comes a whole door of just creativity, whether that be like art or anything like that. So love telling this story. I can tell you when and how I got into fashion, right? So in high school, so all my high school life, I was my family was poor, like broke as shit. Like we ain't had no money. So, but luckily, I went to a high school where you had to wear a polo, like a collared shirt and khakis, or like black like chinos or whatever. Like you couldn't wear like no shit. I so I was lucky for that because you couldn't really tell who had money and stuff, but some people had like the Ralph Lauren polos and this and third. So I just had like the bland black collar, red collar, white collar shirt, khakis, black chinos, and I would actually get made fun of because I didn't have like the name brand shit on like the the shirt or like the pants, or I didn't have any like big designer like shoe, like not designer shoes, but Jordans were. So yeah, so I was like, okay, like as a senior in high school, I was like, all right, I had enough. So once we graduate, I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna do it up, right? So that's exactly what happened. I got a job at J.C. Penney. When you get a first job, you don't have to pay for it. You don't got to pay rent. You live with your, you know what I'm saying? Like the only thing I had to pay was my phone bill. That was it. So I got a job at J.C. Penney, and then I started getting into the YouTube rabbit hole of fashion because fashion is a lot different then than how it was now. And like fashion or streetwear was like a very niche thing on YouTube, and there was only like two handfuls of creatives on YouTube doing like fashion stuff. So I went to that. I was like, okay, like I can tell you the exact like piece that got me into fashion too. It was the extended tees with the zipper, the zippers on the side. So yeah, bro, that was the first piece I ever made. So literally, like what people didn't know is you could just take like a 4X shirt, sew it, slim it down the sides, add a zipper to the side, just sew it, and so that was what got me into fashion right then and there. Like once I felt so good doing it, and like I was so proud of wearing something that was mine that I made from scratch. So yeah, it was like honestly, look, I know we shouldn't condone bullying. I'm not condoning bullying, but that kind of got me to where I am now. So it's like I don't condone it though. That's bad. Don't do that. But bullying got me to where I when I got into thrifting, so okay, so my family has always been into thrifting. Like my mom and my older sister, they've always been into thrifting. I didn't see it that way as like, oh, we can't go to this store right here, so we can only afford to go to the thrift store to get this. I went for the fly niche shit. Like I went for the vintage rap tees. I went for the Nike windbreaker pants. So and that came from YouTube where like I would look at these people like trip to the thrifts, which is what I do now. Like they would do trip to the thrifts and then they would get mad fly stuff and I'll be like, I got a thrift store and like this is at the time nobody was thrifting. Like bro, because like in 2015, 2016, nobody was thrifting, bro. Nobody was doing that. You was seen as poor doing that. And then I was called poor for doing that as well. But now it's the cool thing. Whatever. It's the coolest thing in the world to do now. But yeah, I went strictly just for the fly shit, bro. I just went looking for certain things. I found certain things, and then I would wear it like that. But yeah, my family like they did do it because we couldn't really afford to like, I was raised in a single parent household. Mom trying to do her best to raise four kids, so it was only so much that she could do. So had to find little shortcuts and loopholes and stuff like that. So my style, okay, so this is how I would aim to dress. If we were all in like a cartoon show, and then you know how they always wear the same like outfit every time. Like I want my character to dress like different from everybody else. So I understand like the baggy stuff is in now. I get it. I've been wearing I've been wearing baggy stuff for like that long. So if life was like a cartoon show, all the characters dress the same, I'd want mine to dress like how I wouldn't say I wear baggy shirts, I just wear like drop shoulder shirts to cover like a lot of my arm, baggy pants, bulky shoes. But I that comes so I'll give you a little bit of an insider. So one of my favorite movies when I was growing up was like Juice. So I would see, you know how like Tupac and used to dress like with the baggy shit and the overalls and the big combat boots and yeah, so that's more my forte. It's a lot of it is me being comfortable, but a lot of it is like, yo, like I don't want to dress like if I go to a grocery store right now, I don't want to look like how most of those people look. I want to look like how I want to look. I don't. This is hard to say because I don't want to insult anybody. But first of all, dress how you want to dress. Everybody like dress how you want to dress. Don't worry about what the next man is doing. But for me to stand out after so long because like I was made fun of for not having some shit. So now it's like, all right, and now I look different than you now. Like I would dress way flyer than y'all. Y'all can't tell me nothing. This, that, and the third. So yeah, man. Some of it has to do with luck. Yes, it has to do with luck. But also, I have a lot more knowledge of clothing than certain people. So if I'm so like if we go to the thrift and like I go through the aisles, I'm gonna know more of the brands than the average person. So I would know what's the banger and what's not the, you know what I'm saying? That and plus I look through everything. Like I sometimes I do skim. I'll do a little skim here and there, but like I'll look through everything. Okay, okay, this is from I can tell like the year like 1997 or whatever. Okay, this is from the early 2000s. Okay, but I have way more knowledge of brands, so I would know. I would find more shit. You know what I'm saying? I would find a lot more stuff, and just because I would like know about it, but it's also you gotta look through everything. You gotta look through the racks, under the racks, behind the racks. You gotta as soon as they bring a rack out, you gotta stalk the employee to see where they put. You know what I'm saying? All type of stuff. There's a lot of things that do play into that. So one, I don't want anybody who I'm not too fond of or who I don't like or whatever to be better than me in any single way, shape, or form. I'm gonna be better than anybody who I don't fuck with. I mean, mess with. Excuse me. I'm gonna be better than everybody that I don't like. I'm gonna be better than y'all. Like you can say all this about. Like I thrive on that, bro. I like uh the revenge. What is it? Revenge is success, or success is the best revenge, or yes, like
Self-improvement. I think success is the best revenge.
yeah. So it's that. Also, like I just want to be the best that I can be. Like all this stuff, like this whole having a full-time job and then going home to work on, like I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I think that's like I think that's hell on earth. If like we just like who wants to work for the rest of their life or until they're 65 and then retire and then I don't want to do that. I want my job to be what I love 100% of the time, all the time. Like this stuff, like yeah, we're in our 20s, about to be in our 30s. This is all temporary stuff. This is stuff we need to do now, but it's like I'm grinding now to get to that point where I don't have to do this when I'm like older. You know, I want to where I see myself. I'm trying to do it up. I'm trying to have my like my brand. I want my brand to take off. I want the homies that I'm with right now to elevate as well. Everybody to be doing this stuff, so it's like a small economy, and we can all help each other out with certain things of our businesses. So there's that. I just because I just don't want this to be for everything, and I know it's not gonna be for everything if I keep going like this, you know. But as far as like I would say like a work ethic. I wouldn't even say I have a crazy work ethic. Like to be honest, I mean, yeah, I go to work, get home late, and I'll like design and sew until like 3, 4 in the morning. But I think that's like I think I could be doing more. Honestly, I want to do more. Like I thrive off that, you know. So I mean, it's tough at times because you know I just want to watch wrestling and go to bed, but it's like, nah, gang, I gotta keep doing this. You know, it's yeah. Like they say, there's only so many hours in the day. Everybody's got the same 24. What are you doing with yours? You know, so, so how I would show up, bro, there's always next time. Like if let's say if there's the homies is out doing something and if I gotta work, there's always next time. Like there's always like if we're really friends, we're good. There's always gonna be chances to be doing this all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I also don't get me wrong, I also live my life. Like I also like, you know what I'm saying? We only have one life. Let's have as much fun as we can. But it's like there's always gonna be time for that. There's always gonna be there's it's always like if you grind at what you got to work on now, it's gonna pay off in the long run, so that you can do all that fun stuff later on. Now, I do dabble in the fun, you know. You know, yeah. So it's like, yeah, but like also like, there's also times where it's crunch time. Like that we gotta do what we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Like like there's this video. This is it's like a 10-second clip of Kanye where he's getting ready for the Donda show. He's like, ain't no playing, chuckling, and none of that. Like none of that. He was like, nah, not play off the grid, and then off the grid play. Like yeah, I'll send it to you. But yeah, so it's like that. Like it's time. It's no time for games now, but there will be time for games later. You know, but there's always gonna be time for that. That's always gonna be there. Work on what you gotta work on now. So the concept of very taboo is okay. So before I even thought about having a brand, before I decided on making a brand, I would like YouTube and Google and look on TikTok like oh like what should you have before you start a brand or why you should start a brand. And so there's all these different people like Bobby Hundreds, Virgil Abloh, Kid Super. They always say there was always the same thing whenever like somebody would ask them like, "Oh, like I'm gonna start a brand." They would be like, "What are you trying to say with your brand?" Have a message, right? And I'm like, that's hard for me because what if like I have one message and it changes over time, and then that changes over time, or if I have that means I have like 500 different messages. So I was like, wait, what if I had a brand that had a lot of different messages, right? So I was like, what's one thing or one concept that has like a bunch of different stories, a bunch of different messages and whatnot? And then one of them's Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone, it's an anthology series. It's got mad different episodes, but they're all different in their own way, but they're all saying different things to make us think, right? So I was like, okay, I could, and I'm fond of that era. Like I'm fond of that, like that vibe that of like the Twilight Zone. So I was like, okay, so what about a name? So what I was gonna do was I had like a million different names. I was gonna do like Taj Booth Studios and all shit like that. But I'm like, wait, what if I like get in like my 70s or 80s and then I pass away and then the Taj Booth Studios brand is still there. Like that means that, I don't want somebody else who I don't know to like take it. So I was like, what if I just took like the first part of my first name and the first part of my last name and just put it together. So it's taboo. So, and then taboo is like the back to the whole Twilight Zone concept where we like they have a million different messages and a lot of it is things that we don't really talk about. So I was like, okay. So, and then I'm not gonna lie, bro, it just looked cool. It just looked cool. And they put the dot, it looked cool. When they take out the E in the very, it looked cool. Like,
Okay.
I was like, okay. So it rolls off the tongue. And like, I will never forget this. So when I was coming up as a dancer, I forgot who told me this. But I forgot, some dancer was like, pick a crazy name because if you, let's say if your dance name is like Bagel, right? Somebody just goes on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, looks up bagel, then it's gonna be a bagel's gonna a million different things, like a bagel, like in the morning with cream cheese, cottage cheese, and whatnot. So what if you just put like machine gun red bagel, right? That's your whole name, and then you're the first one that comes up. So having a name that's so out there that like it's like the first thing that comes up on Google. So that's the type of name I wanted. So I just put VRY, very taboo. So I'm pretty sure if you just look it up, the Instagram page is there, and it's like the first thing that comes up. But yeah, so that's just the concept of the brand is to just have like I want to have different stories, different messages within each piece, not just each piece, but each collection. And it's my interpretation of the Twilight Zone. And a couple other things too, like American Horror Story and other like movies and stuff like Fight Club. I took a lot of inspiration from Fight Club and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. I want the brand to be something that's big to where anybody can come in and it's like the culture of hip hop, like where hip hop's for everybody. It as long as you don't just come in and just take from it and then leave without giving something, like I want my brand to be like that. So I want it. I haven't really thought about it like that, but I want it to be something to where like I could like have it be like a A24 or like or like or just just a creative outlet or like a store or something to where it reaches outside of fashion. I want it to be like a culture in and of itself. So I haven't really thought about it that deeply that yet, but yeah, I want it to be something bigger than like I could have ever dreamed of. It's very rooted in streetwear. It's stuff to wear like for like the sh- the streets, but like also I wanted to have his own genre in streetwear because I some of my pieces are a little, weird for per se. I got like the two headed girl right here on a drop shoulder with so I want it to be it's streetwear for sure, but I want it to have its own little nugget in streetwear and like a little corner. If it was like a classroom, it'd be like the kid in the corner that's quiet, which is me. A lot of my shirts have to, like So I want my pizza to look like if you're in like a dark hallway and then something that just appears out of nowhere. That's how a lot of my designs are. So I want my designs to look like the juggling one. It looked like my inspiration for that was like what is the Adams Family? They got the little hand that
Yeah,
walks around.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my inspiration. That and it's just like, but it just looks like in the dark. It just you're wearing an all black shirt. I'm obviously gonna do obviously have like more like colored shirts, but I want it to be something to where it's like okay, like somebody sees it, somebody questions it. I know you know this, but I'm gonna say this for the people. So I don't like to look up images and edit them. I consider myself like the Christopher Nolan of streetwear, where like I want everything to be practical. So I'll have one of the homies do like a pose, or have the homies like wear makeup, and I'll like position them somewhere, and then have somebody take a photo, and then I'll like so all my stuff is because I don't want like there's this page on Instagram that I see where I forgot what it's called. I probably shouldn't give the name because I don't like the dude that does it. But what he does is he goes to streetwear brands and then he looks up like one of the things in the graphic, and then he'll like pin it down to where it came from, where the original picture came from, trying to expose them. And I'm like, I don't want nobody to do that to me. So I'm gonna do everything myself. Like if I get like a picture of like a woman on a graphic and I edit it, and then like 10 years down the line the woman's like, oh, that's me, you never paid me for this, that, and the third, use my image, like I don't want nobody to do that. So my design process is I do everything practical, and a lot of my pieces are conceptual pieces, whether that be like a front image and a back image, or adding a carnival ticket on something, or this next one I'm cooking up is ridiculous, bro. It's fire. This next one I got is fire. But yeah, I want it to be more than just something you wear. I want it to be a conversational piece as well when it comes to my designs. I'll tell my younger self a lot of things. Like, hey, how deal? Don't mess with that girl. A little bunch of stupid stuff like that. But honestly, I would just tell myself like, don't stress about things. Don't stress about it too much. It'll come to you. Don't worry if you have like if don't worry about if this needs to get done in time, or like oh like if you need to have the like don't worry about like things will come in due time. Like everybody has a path, and we're all gonna follow our path accordingly. Just don't stress the small things. It's okay to stress about things. That's normal. We're humans. That's what we do. But don't stress the small things, man. Don't. I wouldn't go back and tell myself something stereotypical like, "Oh, just believe in yourself. Don't give up." No, like it's gonna be all right. Like just don't stress it. Also, don't mess with that girl. Like,
Yeah, I'll tell myself that too.
yeah, don't mess with that
She's
girl,
a
bro.
red flag.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
tell myself.
don't do that. But yeah, that's what I would. Stick figure. And I say that because like depending on how big the canvas is, it's like we're all just part we're all just part of this big creative world. You know, there's so much we can learn. So for me to just put a stick figure there is just me. Okay, like if I put a stick figure on like a blank canvas, it's like hey, there's so much out here. Like this blank space is for you to interpolate. Like you can draw clouds here, you can draw like a house here. It's whatever you want to do. So I'll just put like a stick figure, like, hey, now take on the world.